Hi everyone, good morning. I hope everyone is having a lovely morning. So I just wanted to hop on and do a quick live with you guys. I want to talk a little bit about healing your gut because I just see that there is a ton of confusion. I see it on Facebook groups. I see it when people talking to me. A lot of people are having a ton of gut issues, a lot of really chronic GI issues, gas, bloating, pain, constipation, diarrhea. It's been going on for years and they're trying really hard, but they're not getting results. They're not seeing any relief and they're really confused about why what they're doing isn't working. So if this is your first time joining me for a live video, my name is Kendra Perry. I'm a functional diagnostic nutritionist. I specialize in female hormones and chronic GI disorders. So I'm very familiar with this kind of thing. I've worked with hundreds of clients to heal their guts. If you want to learn more about me, you can visit my website, kendraperry.net. I've blogged quite a bit about GI issues. So I want to talk today about the one thing people are missing when it comes to healing their gut. So generally what people do first is they always focus on the diet. And yes, diet is very important. It is very important to implement a diet that removes a lot of those more inflammatory foods, especially processed refined foods, sugar, even things like grains and gluten are really important to give up if you want to heal your gut, and dairy. So you do need to implement that diet. And a lot of times, this is kind of the one or maybe the only thing that people are doing to try to heal their gut. And unfortunately, just changing your diet is not enough. Okay. So yes, a lot of, crap comes into our body via foods. And yes, we are sensitive to certain foods, but the reason you're sensitive to foods isn't because you were sort of genetically predisposed to having these sensitivities. Of course, that does exist. Sometimes some of us, we'll just never be able to tolerate certain foods. But the reason why you react to so many foods and why you need to limit your diet so much when you have a gut problem is just because your gut's unhealthy. So food sensitivities, it's not a root cause for the most part, unless you have something like celiac. It's mostly just a symptom. It's a symptom of the gut being really unhealthy. The lining of the gut maybe isn't producing enzymes in the way that it should. The bacterial gut flora is imbalanced, and that means that you don't digest very well. There's a lot of different things that are going on that really just prevent you from digesting well, so that suddenly foods that maybe weren't an issue in the past suddenly are a massive issue now. Okay, so that's a big thing, is like, yes, you need to clean up the diet and temporarily like reduce that inflammation, but if you can heal your gut, you can actually tolerate a ton of foods, and you should be able to tolerate foods that maybe right now you aren't quite agreeing with you. So diet is a big thing. And yes, we do want to implement the gut healing diet, but it is not going to heal your gut. Okay. We really need to address, why is the gut, unhealthy to begin with? And I'm going to talk about one thing, but I'm actually going to give you a second thing, kind of like a little bonus tip, because I love bonuses. But the one reason why people fail to heal their gut is because they don't address infections, and if they do decide they're addressing infections, they usually have no idea what they're addressing. So let me explain. Okay. So, a lot of people think you need to travel to a foreign country to get things like parasites, bacteria, yeast, whatever. This is not true. There's actually tons of parasites in North America or in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, wherever you're joining me from. You don't need to travel to a country like India or South America to get an infection, although you can pick those up there. The thing is they're around us all the time. And if our gut is healthy, this really shouldn't be an issue. They should pass through our system, our immune system should deal with it, and they should just be flushed out the back end, right? But when the immune system is worn down, our body, or we have imbalanced gut flora, things are just kind of out of whack in there. We actually can't fight these things off. And of course, our gut is this nice, warm home. Obviously, it'd be a really nice place to, live if you were a parasite or a bacteria, because you're getting this constant influx of food. Warm, dark place sounds good, right? So a lot of us, we end up developing chronic infections. So we all know what it's like to have food poisoning. Like if you get that acute exposure to a stomach bug, right? You throw up, you get diarrhea. But this is not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kinds of things that are in you and they're existing in a low grade. Your immune system is constantly fighting them. So you don't have those really acute symptoms, but you have a lot of those kind of more vague symptoms like fatigue, just indigestion. Things don't sit with you very well. Maybe you get kind of inconsistent bowel movements, like loose poops, hard poops. It's kind of fluctuating. It's all over the map. A pretty good sign that there's a low-grade chronic infection in there. And for most of us, for most people, there's a few very kind of like famous infections that people get really fixated on. So candida is a big one. A lot of people doing candida diets are like, I must have candida. They go online, they self-diagnose themselves, because if you look at the list of symptoms for candida, you're probably going to relate to a lot of those symptoms. That's really common. Blastocystis hominis is another one that's like pretty popular, or even something like small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So people tend to self-diagnose and they're like, okay, I have candida, so I'm going to do a candida diet. But this is the thing. So the symptoms for candida are pretty much the exact same for any other different type of infection you have. So yes, it could be an overgrowth of candida, but it could be 20 other different types of yeast that might exist in the body or infect the body. It could be a bacterial infection, or it could be a parasite, or it could even be a GI virus. So there's so many different things. And the problem is, depending on the type of infection you have, a totally different protocol is required. Okay, so if you have a parasite, you're gonna need to take a different type of herb or treatment or even antibiotic than if you have something like candida overgrowth or a parasite like blastocystis hominis or SIBO. Small intestine bacterial overgrowth, a very common infection, but there's two different types and they require different protocols. So when you're just kind of doing a generic pathogen protocol, you're kind of just shooting in the dark. You don't know if what you're doing is actually addressing the infection that you have. And you don't know how long to be doing that protocol for. And you don't know if there are other co-infections. And I've never actually seen, I've tested hundreds of people for infections, and I've actually never seen just one infection. If people have one, they tend to have a bunch of other infections as well. Also, this is really interesting. So in the gut testing that I do, we run the test, we see a bunch of infections, we clear it up, then we retest, and on the retest, you tend to see a whole host of new infections. So you may have either not gotten rid of the original infection, so you need to do longer treatment or even change your treatment, or a whole different set of infections show up. And this is actually probably the most common situation that I see. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that the gut, it's this deep, dark place. There's tons of layers. And as we get in there and we're affecting the biofilms and the different bacterial communities, we kind of are starting to unearth things that were there, but they existed in such small amounts that they weren't detected by even, any test wasn't going to detect them. So we're just kind of you can kind of think of it like unpeeling the layers of an onion and slowly digging in deeper and pulling out all those infections. So gut healing, it needs to be strategic. You can't guess. You do need to test. I always say test, don't guess, because honestly, you can waste a lot of time and money guessing that you have candida or SIBO or blasto or whatever it is, and you don't know if what you're doing is the right thing. You don't know if you've actually cleared the infection, and you end up just kind of spinning your wheels and kind of running in circles. So this is really important. So when I do gut testing with clients, I do run a full gut panel. I want to see every possible infection that could be infecting a person so that we can make a strategic plan on how to address it. And then of course we do want to follow up with retesting to see, have you cleared the infection? Are there new infections that pop up? What is the next course of action? So, it does require a bit more investment of money, but it's going to save you so much time in the long run, because you can literally waste decades just guessing to see what's wrong and never actually address the real thing that is going on in your gut that actually might be pretty quick to clear. Certain infections, they don't take longer than 30 to 60 days to clear, but people can spend 10 years or 20 or 30 years trying to address things that maybe aren't actually there to begin with. So I want to give you a quick little bonus tip here. So gut health is huge these days. Everyone is super focused on gut health. People are like, okay, so the key to my health, my longevity, my happiness is healing the gut. And that's true. We do want to have healthy guts, but like everything, a gut doesn't actually get unhealthy on its own. So if you are getting chronic infections, if you have chronic gut issues, inflammation, bloating, gas, we have to ask the question, why is the gut unhealthy to begin with, and why is it getting chronically infected with all these bugs, parasites, yeast? Like, what is the actual cause of that. And this is something that not a lot of people are talking about. I find even in the functional health community, I don't see a ton of practitioners or doctors talking about this. But one of the main things that actually depresses the gut immune system is toxicity coming from environmental chemicals and heavy metals, and mineral imbalances. So this is really important. So I think a lot of our understanding around heavy metals and toxic exposure and environmental chemicals is pretty much focused on the workplace. So people who are getting exposed because of their jobs. But things have really changed in the past few decades. So we are constantly creating new chemicals every year. There are 84,000 chemicals currently in the US alone, and only about 1% of those have been tested for safety. So these things were always getting exposed. It doesn't really matter if you live in a really like pristine mountain environment, you know, you're drinking really clean water, eating organic food. Unfortunately, we can't avoid these things. We know this because we see this in the polar bears and, you know, animals that are at the corner of the earth, so far removed from society, and we're still finding that their blood is full of flame retardants, pesticides, herbicides, metals. The list goes on. So none of us are immune, and we are getting exposed through our diet, through our water, through our air. We're getting exposed just in our home. Like if you just look around me right now, I mean, there's plastic and chemicals all around me. A lot of us are also getting exposed to household cleaning products, chemical skincare, beauty products, that sort of thing. So these things are in our body. It's not really a matter of, do you have metals? Do you have chemicals in your body? It's a matter of how much do you have. Okay. So these things actually, they totally depress the immune system. They interfere with the functioning of your body on a very basic, deep cellular level. So they interfere with mitochondrial function and production of ATP, which is your body's main fuel source. If you can't produce ATP, if you can't have a well-functioning mitochondria, I mean, the symptoms that you're going to experience are going to be quite far reaching. So this is a big missing piece with gut health is people, you know, maybe they get so far to find a practitioner who can help them clear infections, but they don't go any further. They don't ask the reason, well, you know, why is the immune system not functioning? Like, why is this person getting chronically infected, and why do these infections keep coming back? There's always going to be an underlying metal, chemical, and a mineral imbalance. So just on the subject of mineral imbalances, minerals are the spark plugs of the body. We need them for all the chemical reactions that we do on a regular basis. Examples of minerals are going to be calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. So those are the big four, the most important of the electrolytes and minerals that we need to function. Unfortunately, we have a very deficient food supply. Again, even if you're eating that 100% organic diet, you're not getting these things, and you do need to supplement. But all of our imbalances are very unique, and the mineral system is very dynamic, and every single mineral has an effect on every single mineral. So you can't just take a multi-mineral and expect it to help. You can't just, you know, guess, oh, maybe I need this, because you could actually throw your entire mineral system out of balance. So again, this is where I test as well. When I do a gut healing program with a client, I run the gut panel, I run the mineral panel, which will also tell me about toxins and metals. Very, very important. So if you are looking to, you know, increase your mineral status, maybe you can't afford to work with me and do the testing. The one supplement that I do recommend for everyone to take is kelp. Kelp is full of minerals. It's full of vitamins. It's full spectrum. Everything is in a really, you know, you pretty much have every mineral and every vitamin in kelp powder. So, you know, you're way less likely to throw the mineral system out of balance because it is a very all-inclusive type of food. Be careful with kelp. There are a lot of really toxic forms out there. The three that I recommend are Oceans Alive Marine Phytoplankton. This is an amazing supplement. Nature's Way kelp. You can take up to 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams a day. That one has been tested for safety, so I do recommend that. Or Endomet is another one that I recommend that has been tested for safety. So those are the only three. There's probably other good ones out there. I'm not familiar with how they've been tested. I haven't looked at them specifically, so I can't really speak to the rest. So those are the three that I recommend if you are looking to get a jump on increasing your mineral levels, mineral balance, okay? So yeah, I just spewed a ton of information at you. So hopefully you found that valuable. If you have any questions, even if you're not with me live today, just throw a question in the comments box. More than happy to come back. I will be checking the comments on this video for a while. If you're on YouTube with me, you can comment on the YouTube video and I will respond to your comment. If you do have chronic GI problems and you're ready to make a change, you're ready to heal the gut, start feeling better, start getting better results, you can book a free 30-minute consult with me. Just helps me get a better idea of your unique experience, what you're going through, and whether, my program would be a fit for your situation. So the link to book that appointment is just at the top of this video. And I would love to speak more with you. You probably would be able to get in next week or the week after. I'm a little bit busy right now, but I would love to speak with you. I love talking poop. I love talking gut issues. It is something that I have a lot of experience with, and I'd be more than happy to help you with. So if you want to learn more about me, just visit me, kendraperry.net. And again, just let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help. Have a great day, guys. Bye.